Okay, so tonight I'm going to tie a simple version of a klink hammer, a little variant of a klink hammer. Klink hammers actually are they're an emerger pattern, they're a post style fly, and you can actually buy klink hammer hooks for them, special hooks that are designed for them. You can buy other types of hooks, and unfortunately I don't have any of those. So first rule of fly tying is use what you have on hand. So tonight we're going to be using an owner mosquito hook in size 10. This fly can be tied in a variety of sizes. You can go a little bigger, you can go a little smaller, depending on what you need to do to match the hatch. In doing some research for this fly, trying to figure out where it came from, I found out all kinds of study stuff on it, and unfortunately my ability to remember song lyrics from the 80s far out exceeds my ability to remember why I just walked into the kitchen, so I have forgotten all of that because I've been sitting in here tying tonight. I'm going to tie up a little bit. I'm using 70 denier thread in olive. I'm going to go ahead and start my thread base here. Go ahead and get that going. I'm going to take my thread all the way down into the bend of the hook here. Get it down there. Come in here and going to cut the tag end off. I'm going to get some dubbing, and tonight I'm using tan dubbing. You can kind of see I'm going to be using that color if you can see it. Match the color for the insects that are emerging. You can go darker, you can go lighter. And just like everybody said, and I was given this advice very early on when I started tying flies, is when it comes to dubbing, start with a little bit, you can always add more. So I'm going to go ahead and twist this dubbing noodle on. Kind of slide it, there we go. And we're going to go ahead, yes, I'm holding the thread, not the bobbin. It is a technique that I don't even know where I got it from. Probably something I came up with on my own in my little itty bitty head. So we're going to kind of do some overlapping spirals of dubbing and build up a body. You can make the dubbing as tight as you want. You can make it as buggy and shaggy as you want. I'm going to kind of keep this one a little bit tight. That's probably too much. I'm going to take some of that off. Get a little bit more dubbing in here. Ooh, hey Mr. Dubbing. Let's not come undone. Okay, let's keep this up. Alright, so here we go. So we're going to rewrap that up there. Get this dubbing. It is giving me fits tonight, is it not? I'm acting like an amateur. I am. Apologize to any of you that thought I was a professional. So there we go. We're going to keep that dubbing body going up there. There you go. Alright, I'm going to actually probably pull that out. Twist that in. There you go. Notice I've come up the body to about 1/3 of the hook shank length back. I'm going to stop right there for now. Now I'm going to take 2 pieces of peacock herl. I like the contrasting colors. I tend to like the top end of these to be darker. You can use dubbing, you can use natural dubbing, synthetic dubbing, you can use all kinds of other materials that you want. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to trim those off. Now I'm going to take a piece of 2mm white foam. Buy these in big sheets. You can buy the round ones that are already round. You can cut those to length as you need. And again, I don't have any, so first rule of fly tying, use what you have. So I've cut myself about a 2mm by 2mm piece of white foam, and what I do is I take it and kind of run it between my fingers. Just lightly twist it back and forth. I don't really know if that does anything. It makes me feel better, I guess. Go ahead and do that. Come down here, I'm going to cut a little bit of a tapered end. And I'm going to lay it with the foam facing forward. I'm going to come in here with a little pinch loop, make a couple of little soft loops around there, make sure the foam is positioned the way I want it. And I'm using foam. Most of the Klink Hammer patterns you'll see, a lot of them used yarn or some kind of like an acrylic or polypropylene yarn for this post. That's fine, you can do that. I'm going to be fishing some water that's actually got some current to it. Not much. This thing's twisted. Stop. So I'm going to put the foam on here because I want this to float. And these will float really well. They'll float about all day long. So once you get it secured, I'm going to pull the foam back towards the back of the hook. And I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make several wraps up front by the hook eye. The object is you want to get this foam or yarn or whatever you use in this post, you want it to stand up at a 90. There you go. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to continue securing this foam. Again, you want to put some tension to it, but you want to be careful that you don't actually cut the foam with your thread. And of course, I doubt you'll do this with this 70 denier. This thread will probably break before that. Lord knows I've done that enough. Okay, so I'm going to come in back now behind this. A couple more wraps right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hackle. Okay, I don't have, excuse me, a lot of dry fly hackles. But what I do have is I have some saddle hackle. Some brown. I'm going to use one of these. We're going to find one that's kind of long and thin, wispy. It's going to be oversized, and I understand that, but this is what I use. I'll find one here. I just had one. And unfortunately, while I was filming, it blew off on the floor, and I'm not going to go chase it. So we're going to get us another one here. Hey, this one's good. I like this one. I'm going to pull one out. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to strip off the soft ends of this and some of the larger hackle fibers down here at the end. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to secure this hackle in. I'm going to make some thread wraps again up towards the front. You can secure that hackle in that way. Then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make a couple of wraps around the post, and I'm going to let my thread sit. Come in here, I'm going to trim off this tag end. You can trim it off and break it off. Careful not to cut your thread, I've done that too. Get this tag end a little trimmed off. There we go. Now, I'm going to take my peacock curl. The trick I learned, can't even tell you where I learned it, is to go ahead and give these a little bit of a twist, a little light twist. Now instead of trying to hold on to two individual pieces of peacock curl and wrap them, you basically got a little bit of a rope of peacock curl. So I'm going to start coming in here and wrapping. Again, like I said, I really like the contrasting color of the light body, the dark front end of this. Go ahead and make several wraps up towards the front. Build up the body as much as you need based off of the size of your hook. There you go. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to secure this peacock curl. A couple of wraps right in here. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to trim these off. There's enough of this to save actually for another fly, so I'll just set this over here on my bench, and Lord knows I got a pile of stuff in here I keep saying I'm going to use for something else. Now I'm going to take the thread, and I'm again going to make a couple of loops up here around the post, kind of trying to tighten that post up a little bit and pull that thread out of the way. Then here we go. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to wrap this hackle. Let's try it this way. There we go. I'm going to wrap this hackle around the post. Okay, I know it's a large, oversized hackle. I understand that. You can trim it if you need to. I like these larger ones, at least for where I'm going to be fishing. Okay, so now this is kind of a tricky little part. I'm going to try to hold it. Normally what I do at this point is I actually turn the fly sideways in the vise. I'm not going to do that because I'm in here filming tonight, and I'm filming without my cameraman, my son. He usually comes in here and helps me out, and unfortunately he is not with me today. So there we go. We're going to make several of those. So I didn't want to turn it because I don't want it to get out of focus, because he would fix that for me. Don't drop that thread. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to come in and trim off this tag end piece of that. Again, now I do have a whip finish tool. You guys hear me say that all the time. It's an older one. I've had it since I was in high school. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but let's just say it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And I'm going to make a couple of half hitches here. And it's one of the original type of whip finishing tools, and I'm not very good with it. I keep telling myself I'm going to buy a new one. And yeah, that's... maybe I'll get one for Christmas if I'm make the good boy list. Who knows? All right, so there we go. So now you can pull out your head cement, Zap-A-Gap, UV resin, whatever you want. If you guys know me, you know I like super glue. I'm gonna get it all over everything, so I've got to be careful. So I'm gonna come up in here. I'm gonna kind of try not to get it on the wraps of these hackles. I'm gonna come in here, put a little bit of this on these thread wraps, securing these thread wraps. Come in here, put the lid back on, because you've heard me say before, and anybody that knows me knows I will get super glue all over me and everything else. All right, so hackle's kind of ugly. It will work though, especially after I cast it. Then you come up here and you can trim your post to your desired length. If you want, you can actually come in here and kind of like round off these corners a little bit like this. You can kind of do that. See that? You can kind of get these corners rounded off a little bit. Whatever, make it as pretty as you want. But there is a rather simple, larger version of a klink hammer with a foam post that I tie and use around here. Especially in the spring, we have some larger mayflies that they can be, an inch and a half long. We can get some big ones coming out here, and I'll use these, and they work pretty well.